So Church, I'm in the open floodplains of the Bolivian Pampas, and this footage recounts the multiple attempts of trying to catch the world's largest rodent, the capybara. And trust me mate, it's not as easy as it seems. In this part of the world there are essentially two seasons, the dry and the wet. Typically the dry season starts from May and ends in October, with a period of low rainfall which accounts for water becoming segregated and pocketed in low-lying areas. The wet season, however, typically accounts for prolonged periods of rain, between November and April, with marshes, floodplains and other watercourses predominantly becoming part of the landscape. Now, finding these stagnant pools means finding capybaras, and there are fresh tracks everywhere you look. Take note that this habitat is also a place where you will find three of their biggest predators: the anaconda, caiman, and the jaguar. So if you're trying to catch a capybara in the wet season, I'll tell you now mate, it's almost impossible, as they are just too well equipped for the marshy environment. In the dry season, however, they will venture between watercourses in search for lush feeding areas, and this is when my strategy starts to take place. My first interaction with one of these species was actually a bit startling. And just like a boar can be unpredictable, a charge from a capybara is always a high possibility. And they don't always give you a bark to let you know that they're coming.
So this is essentially exactly where I've been going for the capybara. I've been chasing out a couple of them, but I'm just trying to find one large male. I've been on to, seems to be the slowest one in the bunch. There's a couple in here. Just see the type of terrain that the capybaras love to live in. Grassy, swampy, muddy. You see their tracks.
So why would I go for a larger one as opposed to a smaller one? Well, there is obviously a lot of biology behind this, but here it is as simple as I can make it. The larger the specimen you're pursuing, the more energy which is required for metabolic processes, as opposed to a smaller specimen whose bodily functions are less demanding and more efficient. After some tedious chasing for the wetlands, now is the time to put the exponential pressure on an exact individual. Knowing your landscape is crucial to the success of this pressure technique, but it's not always about speed. This is about mustering your target into an area. You gotta keep the pressure on, Church.
Capybara! Capybara, capybara, capybara. Okay, he's splashing. He's splashing, he's splashing. Hey, hey, this way! Okay, flushed him. I flushed one. Flushed one. Flushed one. I flushed one. I flushed one. Okay, well, I was able to flush out a capybara, and essentially I've seen some pretty fresh tracks. There's a bit of muddy areas which come through this area, so I've been lucky enough to actually see the tracks going through. And there's a big one, a big fat one, which he wasn't too fast in the marsh, but he kept ahead of me. But I'm gonna keep following. Hopefully this ridgeline really does open up.
I'd realised that there were a number of small stagnant pools on the fringes of the marshes. Now, this is where I had to focus my movements. Essentially pressuring him to make the move to a pond meant one thing. He was now not only contained in an area, but now he'd be more manageable.
Okay, alright, so what we have here is one of the largest rodent species. Yeah, hey, settle. One of the largest rodent species found, well, the largest rodent species found in the world. And it's a capybara, and this is a warning call. Now, chasing them through the scrub and getting them into water can be very difficult. But what I'm going to do is just got to keep him in the water. Keep him here, stay. Just going to arrange myself in such a way that what I want to try and do is actually get a rope around him. And see if I can tie him to a tree.
Although I don't want to take your attention away from the strategy behind the capture, you can probably notice the chainsaws in the background. Now, unfortunately, the Imbora region of Bolivia is heavily illegally logged, and this is accounted to the destruction of habitats that support many of the wetland species.
Now I've got to be very careful, because this process may be a little bit dangerous. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try and bring him through. Come here, mate. You're okay. Going to get him to an area where I feel comfortable, so at least I can get him entangled a little bit. I'm not going to get a bite. No! You're okay.
Now, using a lasso is not my usual style. However, it is by far the safest way to maneuver an animal of this nature into a position which allows me to comfortably restrain him.
Now, the funny thing about the capybara is this guy here. He's the largest rodent in the world. You're probably thinking, how is this a rodent? Well, church, amazingly it is. I'm just going to describe him real quickly though. These feet are perfectly designed for aquatic environments. And essentially, aquatic environments being muddy terrain like this, wetland, wherever there's a bit of grassland with a bit of water, these guys absolutely are amazing. Rivers, ponds, streams, dams, catchments. The capybara, he's an absolute specialist. Now, I'm just going to give you a quick description. My adrenaline's running. The capybara, now this guy here is a large species. Essentially, they can weigh up over 70 kilos. Now, they're all muscle. Absolutely all muscle. They've got fur, which is essentially hollow, a bit like a deer's fur, a little bit thicker, almost like pig-like, I guess. The teeth are absolutely huge. Essentially, the diet being predominantly grasses, whether it be roots, tubers. This guy will eat. Now, the hearing isn't so good. Having said that, your eyesight is absolutely amazing. The sense of smell is pretty good as well. And as soon as these guys come into threat with something, they take off, and they take off to find water. Now, you can keep up with them, but at the end of the day, it's about chasing down the one which is the fattest one, the biggest one in the herd. Essentially, the smaller ones have too much speed on them. Now, when I first started, I think there was about 8 of them. I stuck onto this guy. He's come into a small pond like this and enabled me to actually get a lasso on him. And that's the only way you can actually catch this animal by hand, is to actually lasso him. Now, you can probably see he's about maybe 60 kilos. He probably weighs more than me, about 60, 70 kilos. But he's absolutely beautiful. The largest rodent on earth, the capybara. Now, I'm going to give you a release, mate. You're okay. Hey, you're okay. You're okay. Hey, you're okay. Okay. Okay, you go your way. And I'll go mine.